exciting. First
Thank you.
podcast
So,
for me.
your first
Yeah.
podcast. Welcome, man. So, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Burn the Ships. I'm here with my friend. I've known him for a long time, John Masoud, and I had to make sure that I was able to pronounce his name correctly because I know we have a buddy of ours, Eton, in the
Oh
gym.
yeah.
I've been calling him Ethan
Yeah.
for I've got to say at least
He
five
probably
years.
wouldn't say anything.
So he never did.
Yeah, yeah.
He never
That's
did. He corrected me once or twice, but that was it.
that's funny you mentioned him
But
because
let me give you the floor, John.
well,
Mm.
thank you for having me on. I'm excited. First time on a
Oh, of
podcast.
course, man. Happy to have you.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned him because when I was at the Long Island Championships, that was the first show that I went to. I wanted to yell his name when he was on stage, and I was like, real quick, John, how do I say his name again? I don't want to yell it and then just some random name. Um, but yeah, I know.
You
Everybody
didn't
always
ask me.
got my last name wrong. I know. I don't exactly look Middle
Yeah.
Eastern too, so it's just like, where does this name come from? But I'm
Dude,
excited. Thank you
honestly,
for
that
having
always
me
throws me
on.
off. No, I'm happy to have you.
Yeah,
I always forget you're Middle Eastern.
yeah,
Always.
yeah, yeah. Nobody ever guesses that. That gets a fun one
So,
too.
yeah,
So
it's like saying I'm Jamaican.
yeah,
But anyway, everybody, so this is John Masoud. He recently opened up a private training facility in Wantagh,
yes,
correct?
yes. It's Better Form Fitness in Wantagh.
So,
So,
Better Form Fitness. So, I'm gonna say one more thing about it, and then you plug away and tell us your story.
cool.
So, for me, this is a big connection because just like John, I too have opened up my own private training facility, so on and so forth. And we certainly had our struggles opening, getting things going, getting clientele in. So excited to see and hear about what you might have done differently than us, what we could have done better in the long haul in the beginning, and where starting in this industry looks like today compared to when I started mine a couple of years ago. So, John, tell us more about that.
So it hasn't really been that long of a ride, but it does definitely feel like it. I started actually training full time professionally almost 3 years ago now, like just about coming up on 3 years. I was into fitness
Mm-hmm.
since high school, so definitely goes way back. I got into it during high school. I thought about being a trainer during high school, and then it was just like, trainers don't make money, and especially with the foreign parents, they're like, what are you gonna do as a trainer? You're gonna work at a gym, you're not gonna make any money. And obviously, I wasn't always the biggest guy, so I also didn't really have the confidence. It was like, I'm a skinny guy who's really gonna want to train with me. I thought about going to school for exercise science, and I did have some good opportunities because I did do well in school, but it was still just like Hofstra is really the only school on Long Island that has it, and it's a pretty penny for an exercise science degree, and then just to be a trainer and only really make so much, at least starting off. So that's the whole long story, but went down a bunch of different routes, went down the finance route, said I'm just going to try to make money. Luckily, I found out like at a young age that that is not the key to being happy, and always just went back to training. I was always a nerd about training. I didn't know nearly anything. I thought I did. I didn't know nearly anything like I do now, but it was just always, I was in all the bodybuilding.com forums, watching all the older guys, Jay Cutler, watching all the YouTube videos, Sadiq, all these guys, just always following the industry. And then, so it was 3 years ago now. I was working at my office job, um, doing that for a few years on and off. And Crunch in East Meadow opened up down the block from my house. And I was like, and I honestly, I had my best month at the office after like 3 years of doing there. It was a commission job. So I had a pretty good month for a kid my age, especially, and was like, I still hate this. I just hated everything about it. So I just quit. Asked Crunch if they were hiring. I got my certification, started working there. And then that was, you still hear me, right? Okay, there you go. Let's reconnect it for a second.
Yeah, I can still
And
hear you.
so
You're good.
that was the
You're cutting
start.
in and out a little bit, but I gotcha. Of
That was yeah. Just let me know if anything goes bad. But and I know I talk fast
course.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But so that was the start. Crunch was there for just about a year, and then when I started working at Athletic Movement Protocol in Syosset, that was when things really started to change, I guess. Crunch was very much, not to bash it, but it was very much of a sales job. And athletic movement protocol was where they were actually like focusing on training, just getting the best client experience, the best possible results we could possibly get. We did a lot of continuing education, constantly talking about new topics and things coming up with science. Just staying on top of that, getting good certifications, going to some seminars, all that stuff. And that was where things started to change. And I was like, okay, like I want to do this. It's definitely the one job where I don't feel like I'm working. I don't really even say I'm going to work. Just I'm going to train. I'm going to train some people the same way I would train myself, the same way I used to always train my friends. So that was where it started. And then I definitely got a little bit lucky. My dad was in the deli business for a very long time, and COVID and so much other things changed and finding employees. So he was 30 years, he was done with that. He got rid of it, and we ended up deciding to go in on a gym. And here I am. So it's been a very interesting 5-6 months, and it's about to be 6 months, which does not feel like that at all. Just pretty crazy. But it's about to be 6 months in business already.
I remember. That's amazing, and I'm so happy for you. I remember talking to you last year where you were trying to get the place. You were looking for different places. You're having a little bit of a permit issue, I believe.
Yeah.
One of the landlords is jerking you around a little bit. But I'm so glad to see that you're over that 6-month hurdle.
Thank you.
And what's funny was when it came to me opening my own gym as well, I started out with Crunch.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
I left Pace with a degree and a resume I wasn't going to use, drowning in debt. And Crunch is like, hey, you can make up to $100,000 a year. I'm like, that's incredible. That's amazing. Beautiful.
They still say that?
They told you this. They told you the same thing.
The managers don't make that much.
So
yeah.
No. Ironically, I was pulling in more than that because I was charging master rates in Chelsea, Manhattan.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was selling like $150 an hour just to train with me.
Yeah, okay. Like we're not going to charge over here. To the point where I was so
busy, I was like, I was doubling up sessions. So I'm like, if you want to train with John, you can feel free to, but
it's going to cost you.
I'm charging 2 of your sessions today.
Yeah.
Kind of as simple as that.
Well, that's nice.
And then sure enough, it didn't work out. And you know my story and everybody knows my story. So I'm going to go into it again.
Yeah.
My question is, so you said you started getting into fitness early on, like back in high school. What was that turning point for you? Like what made you realize, hey, I should start working out and start going to the gym?
So
I feel like everybody has a good story for that.
So I was a wrestler back in the day. And I mean, I wasn't anything ever like too good, but I honestly was probably the worst wrestler you ever would have met. And I definitely got better, but just, it took like I'll tell you, like my record was definitely one of the worst, but that definitely got me like to where I am today. So, I played baseball when I was younger, and I was just like always obviously a smaller kid, but I wasn't even really fast, wasn't really that athletic. But I liked sports and just like being physical, like being active. I mean, obviously, like I didn't have a phone up until middle school because it's not like it is now. So we were always just active.
Yeah.
And 7th grade wrestling, I was probably like 70 pounds. So I remember I wanted to play football, and my mom was like, "I'm not signing this paper." So I went to wrestle. I'm like, all right, I'll wrestle with kids my weight at least. Didn't win one match in 7th grade.
How many kids were really in your weight class for there?
It was a few. It was quite a few.
But that's got to be a tough weight class.
Yeah, I mean,
quite a few.
I had a match every time. There was 3 or 4 kids to practice with. Some of them might a little bit heavier.
Oh, great.
A lot of them got heavier as the years went, and I kind of stayed the same. But I did not win one match in 7th grade. 8th grade comes along. Maybe I was 80-something pounds. And I also didn't really do enough in the off season, but I didn't win one match in 8th grade. 9th grade comes along. I was about 90 or 91 pounds, and I think the minimum was like 89 because 99 was the lightest weight class. So I just got stomped on. Did not win one match in 9th grade.
Oh yeah, so that's a really broad, really broad weight class for you.
3 years in a row.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Of just losing every single match, ending on my back, all that stuff. Parents coming to watch, friends coming to watch. Coach is like, "Why are you still coming here?" And then 10th grade,
why are you still inviting them?
There was nobody else in my weight class, so I had to practice with the kid heavier, and I had to be on varsity. So part of me was like, I'm done wrestling. Like obviously, it's not for me. And then I always say it was like some, like I don't even, I literally, my friend asked me during the day, like, are you coming to the meeting to sign up? And I told him no. And then I somehow ended up in that meeting.
Mhm.
And it was like, I guess I'm signing up. So had to go
Yeah.
varsity. I was 99 pounds, still a couple pounds below the weight class. I didn't have to worry about cutting weight, but I was like, all right, we gotta do something. So I started getting into just weight training. Wrestling, we did weight training like twice a week. Everything else was just conditioning. So in the off season, I'd go to the school weight room and started doing some of the weight training that we used to do. And then the head coach was actually the guy who was in charge of the weight room. So he would give me some workouts, and I started out there.
Okay.
And then I had my first ever training partner in, I think, 11th grade, and I was 15 or 16. He was a year older than me. He was wrestling like 120 pounds. He quit wrestling, and I see him like 6 months later, and he was like 160, super lean, super jacked. And I was like, what the heck happened to you? And he's like, oh, you just got to eat a lot of carbs, bro.
Yeah.
You just got to eat a lot of carbs and train hard. And I was like, all right, like, got huge, still super
Is that
lean,
it?
super dry, a little bit of acne, but
Mhm.
ate a lot of carbs. So I started training with him. and, started training with
Yeah.
him, and he was older, so he started picking me up. We'd go to retro before school, after school. Just he was training like an animal,
Mhm.
and I guess that was the turning point of where I just was like, just started falling in love with training. My dad did have one friend who was a bodybuilder. He was a pretty successful bodybuilder out of Turkey. Um, Under Udsi was his name.
Okay.
He stopped, but he took like 11th at one point in the New York Pro, which was the
Mhm.
year that Kai Green took like
Oh wow.
13th, I believe it was. So he was getting up there, and then he
Yeah,
stopped.
no
He
kidding.
he
That's
told me he
impressive.
wanted to stop, like just become healthier. He just had a baby. He had a business, all that stuff. So he gave me a
Yeah.
book. I honestly don't. I have the book at home. I'm pretty sure still. I honestly don't remember exactly what it was. I want to say it was the encyclopedia, but I really don't
Mhm.
remember exactly what it was. And
Yeah,
that
the
was when
the
I
encyclopedia
started.
of bodybuilding.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jay Cutler was on the cover.
Mhm.
And that was when I
I think it
started.
was Jay or was Arnold. It was one of them.
Yeah, I don't think it was the encyclopedia because I think that one was Arnold. I don't remember
Okay.
the name of the
Yeah.
book, but I think Jay Cutler was on the cover. And then that was when I started
Mhm.
reading bodybuilding.com forums all day long. And that was when the articles were actually really good. And I was super excited that I would come home and read articles every day and, living large and all that stuff. Now,
Yeah.
the articles don't even come out like once a month over there. But
Yeah, that business has been dying for quite a while, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, I
Not what
used
it
to
used to
love
be.
that stuff. Um, but so I guess that was the real turning point where it was just like I always loved it. And then I definitely getting into finance and jobs I was doing and the stress and wrestling, being in the gym was just always what pretty much kept me going, I guess. Even though my diet wasn't always the best, sleep wasn't always the best, but just being able to go to the gym, get after it, it's definitely just what always kept me going. That's yeah, that's I guess that's a little bit of quick. And I didn't know that wasn't really quick,
Mhm.
but a little bit of a quick summary.
No, nor does
Um,
it have to be, man.
yeah,
But what I'm curious about is you went into finance, right?
yeah. So
Now, what goal did you have in mind when you were trying to pursue that?
just make money, really, which I know, obviously now I know is not the best,
Okay.
but I mean, I grew up on Long Island. I can't really say we were poor, obviously, but was never in the best positions. I couldn't really go to wrestling camps like the other guys and do all that stuff. I had the same pair of wrestling shoes for a few years, which like who cares? But so I was
Yeah.
just like, I want to like just be the one, and my family's great, but I didn't really think anybody else was gonna do it. I said I want to be the one to do it. Just really start making money, get some property, just like I knew I wanted to build businesses. I just didn't know what. And so when I went to school, that was my first semester, which didn't really last long in school. But the first semester was when I got into trading, into the markets, and I was like, "This is perfect."
Mhm.
I was kind of an introvert at the time, so I was like, "I work at home on my computer and just try to make money. Like this is literally perfect. What
Mhm.
else am I gonna do?" Um,
Yeah.
right. So that
How
was
long were
it.
you in college?
So some like a semester and a half, about a semester and a half.
Oh,
Even the first
so you
semester
beat me.
was it? Oh yeah, even the first semester wasn't really there too long, and then I did attempt to go back,
Yeah.
I had to like go into the dean or the prince, I guess the dean, and like,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, explain like why I was gonna go back and why they should accept me. And then COVID, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
and then COVID happened, and I was like, all right, I'm barely doing this stuff when I'm in class. There's no way I'm gonna do it on the computer. If I'm there, it's a little bit different, but
Yeah.
on the computer, there's no
No,
way.
absolutely. You're forced to do it in a way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But
You have
yeah,
bodybuilding.com up on the other
yeah,
tab.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew from the first day that it was just not for me. Just didn't make sense to me, the whole thing. I was like, this is just extended high school and I'm paying for it, which in my case, luckily I wasn't paying for it, but like this is just extended high school. Um
Mm-hmm.
and at least that Farmingdale for me, I didn't really think that it was worth it. How long did you last in
Yeah,
school?
absolutely. Technically a semester, but I
Okay.
stopped going. I stopped going to class around, I want to say, a month in,
What did you
where I
go for?
realized I'm like, what am I doing here? Yeah, I was in there a month. I was staying. I was living in the city there too in the dorms,
Okay.
and I'm like, I'm gonna leave with a degree and a resume. I'm not gonna use drowning in debt trying to open my own business. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. It's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
So I
What
was
did
pretty much
you
just living in the dorms and living like a bodybuilder.
what were you going for? Business
I was
also?
going for my MBA.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna get my MBA to go open up my own gym. And
Okay.
realizing the degree and a resume I'm not gonna use and all that stuff, I'm like, you know what, this isn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then that's when I saw the magical advertisement from Crunch that I can make all this money.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll save up money for a
Perfect.
couple of years and I'll open up my gym,
Yeah.
you know? But eventually I realized that was a little bit not true.
Yeah.
And I was good at selling their supplements they had there. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
it's
say the name of the
interesting.
brand.
Yeah.
But
'Cause we never
yeah.
we never did
So
that over here.
young John, yeah, we had minimums we had to hit
With the
in the city.
supplements too?
So young John, yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
I haven't heard of that. A crunch. I didn't know
It was a
that.
bit. I was over at the flagship.
Okay.
Yeah, the Manhattan locations. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely different.
maybe it was just corporate if you guys were in a
Maybe
franchise,
that.
but I was in the flagship location. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I was really good at selling that supplement, even though I didn't think they were all great.
Yeah.
But young John didn't really know any better. So I'm like, you know what? I don't really like the protein powder. I don't really like their aminos, but I'm like, it's hard to mess up a vitamin C, a joint support, and an omega-3. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
you know what?
fair.
I'm selling this to everybody.
Yeah.
And I had a packed clientele at the time. So me just doing that, it automatically shot me to the top of the leaderboards of
That's nice.
basically everybody in the company. So it worked out well. And they're like, oh my God, how you sell these products? Eventually, when I left, I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to think? And I'm like, you know what? If I can sell this stuff I don't believe in, which, you know, I believed in the stuff I thought of because I didn't realize how bad it was. I'm like, I can sell stuff I do believe in. So
Yeah,
I
there you
built my
go.
first supplement company. And I had 80 people working for me commission-based,
Oh,
all
damn.
ambassadors, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was going really well. Ended up selling that to a competitor. And from there, sat back for a little bit, found the right time, and opened up my facility.
That's cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
What was the name of the company?
yeah. Canvas Nutrition.
Nice. Okay.
So
Yeah.
our whole thing was, your body's a blank canvas. Whether you're a power lifter, a CrossFit, or a 90-year-old woman, we have exactly what you need and what you should be taking.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know
So it
that.
worked really well. And we were one of the first people doing the, like, wow, you look great. You want to be an ambassador?
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
you really have what it takes. You want to be an ambassador?
Yeah.
Like, we were right behind, like, the Herbalife guys and the Fit Tees. So it's like, does that
Nice.
mean I'm an athlete? I'm like, my man, you call yourself whatever you
Yeah.
want. I'm like,
Whatever sells.
at the time, I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
You call yourself whatever you want, buddy. I go, just hit your minimums. Like,
It's
oh
funny.
my gosh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny you say that too,
So eventually, when
because
that got,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go.
I was saying it's funny you mentioned the sales thing, selling things you don't believe in, because I was in sales. I ended up being in sales for like 3-4 years. Like I said, I had my best month
Okay.
when I quit. I just hated it. So I was selling cash advances, merchant cash advances. I'm sure you've heard of that or no.
Okay.
So it was very like people would ask me what I do, and I'd be like, "Oh, you seen Wolf of Wall Street?" Like especially some of the companies I worked at, it was literally just like that. And so
Yeah.
obviously, like me, I really don't fit in that place. But I needed money.
Mhm.
It was quick money. And I had some good months, but I just hated every minute of it. And then the same thing, I'm like, if I literally can't stand what I'm selling, and I don't believe in it. Even though I know some people did do well with it, I just still don't believe in it. Like, imagine if I actually sell something that I'm
Yeah.
extremely passionate about and know will benefit you. So
Yeah, a lot of the time when people do that, they don't know what they're signing up for.
yeah, yeah,
They're like,
that
I could
too.
use 30 grand. Because
Yeah,
yes, it's
yeah, I'll give it
300%
to you
interest.
tomorrow.
I don't
Yeah, and then you're
I
only
don't
gonna
care.
pay
No
like a hundred
problem.
bucks a day.
Yeah.
The
Wow,
payment, the
what a
payments are
steal.
small. Yeah,
And then when you're all done, I'll take your
yeah,
firstborn child, and we'll be
yeah.
even.
And
It's
then
like, oh,
I
great.
don't make anything, so I have to ask for a fee.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was had some good
it
stories.
was
I'll say
madness.
that. Had some good stories, but
I can imagine.
did not
What's the wildest one you've heard from that place?
the wildest I've heard.
Yeah. Or
Like in terms of
hypothetically, the wildest story.
like of people. Oh well, I guess the wildest story probably would be this company, Platinum Funding,
Hmm.
who
Okay. Just you don't have to use names if you don't want to. Just so you know.
okay.
I don't care.
I mean, I don't really care either. I don't. I mean, I don't think.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure it's public information. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure it's public
Yeah. Yeah. Of
information.
course.
They had a guy
Anyway,
that
continue.
they were giving loans to for years.
Hmm.
I don't remember how long, but I can't remember too much specifics. But all I know is they were giving him loans for years, and he was paying everything back. And he somehow finagled them to give him like something crazy, like 40 million, and then just said, you know what, I don't want to pay anymore. And the company went bankrupt. And they were a big company. Like they had a lot of employees. I knew people that worked there. They had a huge office in the RXR building in Unionville, and there's no collateral. There's nothing you can do.
So that one guy basically bankrupt the company.
Yep. Yeah, I gotta find the article. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember specifics, but I'm pretty sure it was something crazy like 40 million.
Oh
Um,
my God,
yeah,
that guy was running a scam on you guys the
yeah.
entire the
I didn't work for them,
entire
but I know
time.
people who did. And the owners pulled up every day in like a different
Yeah.
Ferrari. Like they were in the game for a long time. They were doing very well and gone just like that. One guy, one deal.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
Isn't that
crazy,
crazy?
crazy. But yeah, just the people that I worked with weren't exactly the type of people I want to be around. That was the big part of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could imagine. Like I said, Wolf of Wall Street. It
Oh yeah,
was it
yeah,
was pretty.
yeah. I've been around my fair share of
Yeah,
sales guys, and we have a lot of sales guys in my company, but we're selling products that actually save people's homes
yeah,
and
yeah. All
catch
the guys that
scammers.
were there were
So
like, oh, well,
they're pretty good people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys were like, oh, I used to be in mortgages and then I was in penny or other way around. I was in penny stocks and then I was in mortgages and now I'm here. They just follow whatever the trends are. I had guys that said they used to work for
They're
Jordan
following the
Belfort.
yearly trends.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were doing Wolf of Wall Street, and then they saw what was it? Not Moneyball. Um, what's the movie about the New York the 2008 fall?
Oh, I know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
the big drop,
The Big Short, The Big Short.
the Big Short,
Yeah, I
the Big
love that
Short.
movie actually.
Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
were doing Wolf of Wall Street. They're doing the Big Short,
yeah. And now
and now
cash advances.
now they're about to make a movie. It sounds like,
Yeah, someone should make a movie about that company. But
dude, that'd be a wild movie.
yeah. Yeah, there was definitely some crazy companies. So I did that on and off for like 3 years. I always knew I hated it. And it was like at one point I was serving tables, just trying to like figure out what exactly I'm gonna do. And I always just went back to working in there because I was like, I need money and one deal can make me 5 figures. So let's go for it. And
Yeah.
I literally got to the point where I had the lining of my stomach was completely covered in ulcers and I had very bad IBS. I couldn't eat like almost so many foods I just couldn't eat. And I still would go to the gym and beat myself up, which also probably stressed it more now the more that I know. But that was all just from stress. Like they were like, oh, you have IBS, try this medicine, try this, you have full of ulcers. And they're like, it's all just from stress. Stomach was overproducing acid from just hating
Yeah.
everything. So
You know,
fun times.
you talk about stress changing the body.
Yeah,
Did you see the post I put on Instagram a couple days ago?
I'm not sure if I did.
With the
Um,
it was the one of me 3 years ago and then me now, looking like a completely different person.
not really.
Not even from the physique, the neck up.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance, pull it up one day. It shows my face 3 years ago, but in the past 3 years for me have been just abysmally brutal. Where I don't know how I survived it.
Yeah.
It was just taking it one day at a time. Excuse me, building up my company and then losing everything, thinking I had it back with false promises that fell through, and then losing everything again, just left and right, back and forth. It looks like I aged about 15 years.
Jeez.
You can't really see it on this camera.
Yeah, it looks like you're all black
But like
over
you've
here.
seen me in person.
But
Like I've got a you know me in person.
yeah.
My beard is covered in grays. My hair is covered.
Yeah.
The picture 3 years ago, you can't see one.
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. I feel like
Dude,
I'm starting to lose
it's
it a little bit already back here. And I'm like, honestly, I'm not surprised that
That's all right.
I feel like I would have lost it more with all the. But yeah,
See,
the
I never lost any hair, but it just changed colors
right.
completely.
Yeah, gray is in now anyway. That's not really.
Oh, I'll happily walk around looking like a silver fox.
Yeah.
I certainly don't mind.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, talking about the physical changes is definitely crazy because it was like my stomach was, I always like had a very, very tough time with depression since I was a young kid, really up until a couple of years ago. So I was on top of that, all the stress, hating what I'm doing, not sleeping at night. I would be a broker during the day and then try to trade at night so I can quit being a broker and just not literally, I would like all the time, every couple of weeks or so, I would go like 2 or 3 days without sleeping all the time, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And now it's like I could eat anything. I could literally have hot sauce. I could have ice cream. I could anything, fast food. And my stomach is like, it's not certain things, obviously. I eat clean for the
of
most part,
course.
so they'll get to me. But I couldn't have any of that when I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings, serving tables, which was also, I have so much respect now for service workers. Out of all the tough jobs I had, that was the
They always say-
worst job I ever had.
Yeah.
The worst.
They say everybody should work in service at least once in their life.
Yeah, it was the
Just
worst.
to figure it out and see what people actually go through.
And like especially the location I was at, that's a whole nother story. It was literally the week that I quit, more than half the staff got fired. The general manager got fired. A bunch of other guys quit. It was Buffalo Wild, and like I'll never eat there again. I don't have to say too much, but it was a mess.
You don't have to, but
So I had one hot wing.
it's a good rule of thumb. If you know, yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I had one hot wing and I had to run to the bathroom and puke. That's how my stomach was. And now since the stressors are gone, it's
my
like
God.
literally I put hot sauce on my meals like 3 times a day. It's fine. Completely fine. So
No problems.
it's crazy how much people don't realize how much
long
stress
did it take to get back to like a sense of normalcy?
my stomach or just in general.
Yeah, just in general. Both.
Yeah, probably a couple of years. It definitely started to turn when I started training, because like I definitely wasn't definitely started to turn when I started training, and then probably like 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years with everything. Because even when I was at Crunch, I was like, I know I love this, but like we talked about, I couldn't stay there for obvious reasons. Like this is definitely not going to be a career.
Sure.
And when I got to AMP, things really started to change mentally. And I was like, all right, like there's actually people that care about their job, care about the clients, care about getting better, can actually do good work. And like, you come to work, feel like you actually have a purpose, have something to look forward to in the future. And that was when things started to change, but it definitely took like a couple of years, especially just for the gut issues, which was crazy.
Dude, it's amazing how long that takes to get better.
Yeah.
So let's circle back a little bit to talking about the trainers at AMP, for instance, right? They really love what they did versus what you see at Crunch,
Oh, yeah.
where it's a sales job. Obviously, I know you're not running your facility like a sales job because you see your passion for it. But now, what do you think separates you from these other people that are also passionate about helping others? Like your skill set, what you can provide these people?
It's a good one. Definitely, even though it's only been a couple of years, the experience with just the amount of different people and different types of bodies that I've trained. Like at Crunch, it was definitely more of the older generation in general. And like to the point where they were just sending me, I don't know if you know about Crunch kickoffs, but somebody signs up, they get a free session.
Yep.
They were sending me all of the senior citizens. Like I had somebody who was 93, and I don't mind at all. Like I love training anybody. Like senior citizens are great to train sometimes, but most of the time they wouldn't actually sign up. the insurance is paying
Yeah,
for their
they would never
membership.
sign up.
It's not actually paying for the
Yeah.
training, so they can't pay for it with Social Security. You're getting $300-400 a month. Social Security, they can't pay for
Of course
training.
not.
So I felt like I was just wasting time with that. But just all the different experience I got at AMP. I did the youth program for a little while where I was training 8-year-old up until 11, 12 years old in a class. And then the athletes were 12, 13, 14 up until college. And then the adults, we had adults that were young, around even younger than me, up until an 87-year-old who was a beast. And I just picked everybody's brain so much, like especially even my old coworkers, the trainers. I would ask them questions as if I've never trained before. Just always wanting to see somebody else's eye, like what they see something I don't see. Just getting different opinions. So I think that's definitely a lot of it, and then just a lot of passion. Like I'll go home and not sleep at all because I can't stop thinking about a certain client. Like, should I change this in their program? Is this going well? Or making sure they're doing their stuff outside of the gym. I just really,
you live and breathe it.
Yeah. I mean, I get like emotionally attached to my clients, sometimes a little bit too much. But I think that's the big separator for sure.
I love it.
That's probably the big one I'd say. I definitely get a little bit.
With all the,
I was gonna say I definitely get a little bit too attached to them. That's probably the big one.
That's a nice thing to see too, because you can really tell the difference with a coach that actually cares about their clients, versus somebody that's just coming to work in the morning, and it's night and freaking day.
Yeah, especially when you're there until 9, and then you come at 4 or 5 in the morning, or 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah, dude, when I was at Crunch, I was in the hospital for sleep deprivation.
Oh, geez.
Because I'd leave at like 10 p.m. and I was living on Long Island at the time still before I moved to the city.
Oh, damn.
So I'd pretty much leave there at 10 when they closed. 10 or 10:30 was one of those. I'd commute back to Seaford, Long Island from Manhattan. So that was an hour and a half, give or take, if I made the train, but I never made the train. So it was usually, call it 2-hour commute. I'd go home and I had clients at like 6:30 in the morning the next day. So I'd get back home by around midnight, go to sleep for 3.5 hours, wake up, go back to the gym. There were a couple nights where I got a hotel room. I just stayed in the city. I'm like, I'm going to fucking bed.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I lived on those old band Synodrex pills that were thermogenics and Red Line energy drinks.
Damn.
I don't know what all that did to my heart, but I lived on that stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
And I believe they're both banned now.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's the one thing I never
know
did
the
too much.
Synodrex is. It's just to keep me alive.
Yeah. It gets like that. And that's kind of the tough part about the industry. Is like my old boss would always say, it's the opposite of a 9-to-5. People are going to train before work and after work.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't want to do the double shifts, 2 shifts. For me, it kind of works out perfect because I train for 4 or 5 hours in the morning, and then I eat, walk the dog, work out, and then I train for a few more hours, and my day's done. So I like it.
Yeah.
It works.
When you want a lot of freedom in your life, it's a really good way to pursue it.
Yeah, that
but
too.
You need to be okay with some of that freedom being commuting, and some of that freedom being kind of hanging out in between clients.
Yeah.
So if you can find a way to be productive during those mid times where you have a 7 o'clock and you have a 9 o'clock, it's like, well, what do I do at 8?
Yeah, exactly.
If you can find a way to get something done in that time range, it's amazing what you can accomplish.
Exactly. That's also the nice thing I'm starting to notice now is like when I was at the other gym, obviously I'm just like, I'm just going to hang out. What am I going to do? But now, like, if I have someone at 7, my 8 o'clock cancels. Literally happened yesterday, and I had someone at 9. I was like, all right, I got an hour. Even if I don't have any computer work to do, I'm going to sweep, mop, clean the bathroom, clean the windows, clean the mirrors. Like, I want this place to be pristine. So, it's nice. Just being able to use every minute.
That's a good changing point. Absolutely. But that's a good changing point right there, John. So you went from working as a trainer at one of these places to owning your own facility. How was that transition for you?
I've been liking it a lot so far. It's honestly been pretty smooth. I definitely got very, very lucky being at AMP. My old boss,
Hmm.
we went out a couple times and he like was kind of being like a mentor to me, telling me about what to do, like what I should charge, like literally every little detail. And my old coworker, we all just talked about it all the time because I let him know like pretty early on that I was planning on doing it.
Hmm.
So that definitely helped a lot. Um, I know the tough part is going to be as I start to get busier, eventually it's going to be tough to be training all day long. I'm going to have to do more managing. But as of now,
Yeah.
um, I'm doing both. I love it. I've been loving it. It's a different challenge. And, it's at the end of the day, it's kind of almost more similar to what I was doing at Crunch. Although obviously the training is
Okay.
a lot different and everything, but it's like now I'm
Yeah,
back
of
to running my
course.
own business. At the last place, I was
Hmm.
just a trainer, which is what I loved. I was just a trainer. I didn't even really do
Right.
sales or any of that stuff. Um,
Hmm.
back
That's a dream.
versus at Crunch, I was running my own business essentially. I had to call the people, I had to get them in the door, I had to book the sessions, I had to do everything, which is what I'm doing now. But I'm getting more than 30% of the session, so it's the motivation's a
So
little
yeah,
bit
you're being
different.
compensated.
Yeah, the motivation's a
Yeah, you're
little bit
being
different.
properly compensated for it.
Um,
And the trainers love that too. Not the trainers, I'm sorry. The clients love that too.
yeah,
Because they don't care about the gym. They care about you. You build this rapport with your clients because you said you're attached to them. And of course they're just attached to you because for a lot of people, when you're the personal trainer, the coach, whatever it is in their life, you know, when you hear your friends speaking and other people talking, how many times has it been positive? Most of the time, it's always somebody complaining about something negative or a bad day at work or a bad coworker.
definitely a lot of that.
So when these clients come in to visit you, exactly, but you're the most positive thing they have in their day. Where they might be ranting and raving to you, but you're not trying to one up their ranting and raving. You're motivating them to be the best version of themselves they can be.
Yeah, exactly.
And clients build a client trainer relationship is a very special relationship because it's one where, besides the mutual respect, they want you to do well, but more importantly, it's the only person on this planet that truly has the client's best interests in mind, or rather should, every single time they see each other.
Yep.
Even you look at a therapist wants you to come back forever. Come back forever, and there's no therapist on this planet that's ever solved the problem. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
we can get into that if you wanted to
They
also.
go, oh, yeah, we'll go into that
Um,
next week. Oh, time's up. We'll go into that next week. And then you have people coming to therapy every week saying, okay, tell me about your week. And they just complain for an hour and go, oh,
yeah,
time's up. What did we learn this week? What do you mean what I learned this week? I learned my boss is still a dickhead, and that's kind
yeah,
of it.
yeah. I still have some debates with people about that.
You
I
know?
never really get into it too much. I don't argue, especially like I don't argue
Yeah.
with people at all. But if you want to talk about things and have a
No,
debate, I'm all for that. But just I always just say
absolutely.
from my personal experience, like I mentioned earlier, I struggled like quite a bit when I was a kid and into my early 20s with depression and stuff. So I
Hmm.
tried all of the medications. They had me on SSRIs since I was like 12, 13. I went to a bunch of different therapists, like literally everyone that my insurance would cover on the island.
Hmm.
Um, and just like you said, it's like, how many people do you know that go to therapy and stop going to therapy because it worked?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
None of them.
or does the
None of
therapist
them.
give you a plan that's like, all right, we're gonna come here for 6 months, and this is where I want you to be in 6 months? It's
Hmm.
like, no, you got to keep coming because how are they gonna get paid? And from a business aspect, I understand that,
Exactly.
but like at the same time, um, I part of what helped me was when I started to realize like I can't just keep sitting, talking, and thinking about my problems week after week because they're just gonna stay on the forefront of my
Yeah.
mind. And then it's like, all right, I'm going to
Hmm.
therapy in a week. What am I going to talk about? Let me start thinking about all my problems again. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of bettering yourself and realizing how do I overcome them,
yeah,
you're thinking about memorizing all of your problems.
yeah, exactly. And they're
So
just,
you can tell somebody about them and they tell you why they're justified. How about, not every problem is justified. Sometimes I was being a little bit of a bitch
yeah,
and it's okay.
yeah, that's fair.
And you can tell people, hey, listen, maybe you're overreacting a little bit. Instead of justifying, no, you're always right no matter what. And maybe this person believed this and they're a bit of a, narcissist and they're an empath or whatever these words are. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to take accountability for your actions. And therapy is one of the biggest deterrence of that to try to convince you that you're okay the way you are. Just how do we learn to associate with other people? Meanwhile, you look at our grandparents and great-grandparents, so on and so forth. When people took accountability for their actions, there were a lot less problems in this world.
Oh, yeah.
When people understood, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm the problem. Let me course correct a little bit.
Yeah.
Things went a lot smoother. Problems didn't exist nearly as much. And I get things are different nowadays. But at the same time, it's a go.
No, I was just gonna say it depends on like where your background is too. Like my parents, for example, they came here from Palestine. Obviously, like you hear all the stuff going on in the news now. Up until like a year or two ago, nobody knew what Palestine was. People would ask me where I'm from, and I would just say the Middle East because
no, none of them still know where Palestine is.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. They have no idea. They couldn't point it out in the map.
I still have people ask me that. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't have a map. I don't know what you want me to say. But like they came from Palestine, and they would tell me all the time, like there was lockdowns all the time. 10 o'clock, they had to be in the house. They were not allowed to go outside. The first time that I went to Palestine, we were locked in for 3 days because there was an attack right outside the house. Like that's just, and this was long time ago. But what's going on now is just been going on forever. And like they didn't go to therapy. They didn't complain. They didn't say, oh, like we have all these problems. Like how the world was. And I mean, but we like to create problems.
When did you guys move to the States?
Well, I was born here. But my
okay.
But I think my dad came when he was 18. My mom was 19.
Okay.
So in the 80s, late 80s, he came here. Yeah, I was born here. I went back there twice.
Nothing but.
Yeah.
So people just like to create their own problems, man.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
They make their lives so much harder than they have to be. And it's, we're here to burn the ships, to take our life in our own hands no matter what and get rid of those nets. But they didn't even get to the shore yet. They're burning their own ships.
Exactly.
It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want to test the fire? Guess what? It's going to fucking burn the thing down. It'll work. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned before a lot of talking around to different coworkers, different people that have been in the industry for a long time. Was there anything that somebody said to you that really stuck out of like, oh, I'm going to remember and take that forever? Like a stupid thing for me, just to give you an example, is I had a 7th grade teacher. I can't remember. I want to say Lowinger was his name. He was a science teacher for us. 7th, 8th grade, something like that. And he was a bit kooky. But he always said, like, oh, there's a method of my madness. And I've been using that with I probably said it to you.
I think you probably
I've been using it with my clients forever. Yeah. I'm like, just shut up, trust me, there's a method of my madness. Like, it'll all make sense. Hear me out.
So, trying to think of something. One thing I probably can think of right away was when I left Crunch and got hired at AMP. So this is kind of a funny story of how I got hired. But basically, the girl that hired me, she did a kickoff with me, like a free session at Crunch, and I didn't know who she was at the time. I didn't know she was a beast. She's like she's the strength coach at AMP and the head at AMP. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this girl do pull-ups. Okay. Like she's gonna have such a tough workout, blah blah blah. She started banging out pull-ups, and I was like, what do I do now? The rest of the workout's gonna be easy for her. So I put her through a workout. And then I just stayed friendly. Always just said hi, stayed friendly with her. And then a few months go by, and I was like, I need to do something. That was when I started decided like Crunch was not gonna work. I saw AMP was hiring. Reached out. I was like, hey, how do you like it there? Blah, blah, blah. She told me to apply. I did the interview, and that was pretty much it. And later on, she was like, the reason that I did the kickoff with you was because I saw you were the only client that actually cares about their clients. Like, she's like, you were able to see that. Like, you actually care. And that was pretty much how I got the job there. So that was definitely a big one, I guess. That just always stuck with me, or will stick with me.
Dude, that's awesome.
This means a lot. Because I didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was. But she was like, you were able to see, like, you were the one client that actually cared.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't have a degree. I was the only employee there that didn't have a college degree, somewhat related to the field. And I didn't know. I thought I knew trading. I didn't know anything compared to those guys when I started there. They were like, "You care," and like obviously I was able to learn
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So that was probably it. Just cared about what
It's
you do.
amazing how quickly you pick it up. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
that
it's
too.
amazing how quick you pick it up in regard to they were at the college for 4 years to figure out what you
Yeah,
could have learned in, I don't know, a textbook,
yeah, yeah. I mean, they
basically.
had
A
different
textbook in
degrees,
a couple of years of,
but
yeah, but
when
the degrees
people,
are being used.
yeah, yeah, and then people ask like, like one of them had their science degree, and it's like he knows a ton of stuff that I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I know some stuff that he doesn't know. And same thing, like in
Sure.
everything, that's always going to be the case.
Hmm.
Everybody has different experience. Everybody has a different eye, sees things differently. You might try things differently. So yeah, that was definitely uh that was definitely a big turning point. Yeah, I can go
So
on
what's the
forever.
plan? I know you can. So what's the plan with your facility? You want to stay in one location place, or do you want to expand it?
So I definitely want to expand.
Hmm.
I'm not someone who's like, oh, I want to have 10, 20 locations, all this stuff. I
Right.
personally have always wanted to have like a full size facility. Um, as in like I don't want to say commercial gym because you know how I feel about that term, but like a full size facility with lots of
Yeah.
equipment, say 8, 10,000 square
Yeah.
feet, all
Commercial
that stuff.
sized.
Yeah, commercial size, excuse me.
Right.
Um, all types of equipment and all that stuff. But I know business wise, it's not really, honestly, not really the most profitable model. Selling memberships for $40 a membership or 50, whatever it is. Um, it's more of just like that's just what I want to do. I've been to a lot of gyms on Long Island. I can't say I've been to all of them, but probably pretty close. And I kind of always take
Hmm.
notes when I go, either whether it's
Yeah.
mental or in my phone, and just like picking like, no, they could do this better. They could do this better. This layout could be better. Like this is good, but this could be better. Um, and then you hear so many people always complaining about just like there's no good gyms around here. There's no good gyms around here. So the goal definitely is hit max capacity at this spot, hopefully this year.
Hmm.
I'm about halfway there. Start
That's great.
hiring at least one or two more trainers. Um,
Hmm.
over here, probably just one, maybe two. The space is kind of limited.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
then if all goes as planned, go to a bigger space, probably keep doing what I'm doing with the small group training and
Hmm.
one-on-one training. Try to get to like a couple hundred, at least like 200 or so clients. And then
Hmm.
depending on the timeline and all that stuff, I want to have that kind of facility with the training. Um, and just like really just being very over on top of the training. Um, the tough part is like my old boss would say, he's like, you have to decide if you're going to open up a gym. Do you want to be a manager or do you want to be a trainer? Because obviously, like you can tell, I want to be a
Yeah.
trainer.
Ain't that the truth?
But so the plan is if
Hmm.
I can get a space like that, eventually grow it to 5, 6, 7, 10,000 square feet, and just have a huge chunk of
Hmm.
training how I do now, and the rest like a regular gym facility. Maybe get a manager for that. Um, so I think one big
Hmm.
location is kind of what I prefer. Depending on how Long
Nice.
Island is, depending on what we can find. But I don't really have too much plans of opening a ton of locations. Um, you know, I saw a quote actually like a week ago that did resonate kind of well. That was like,
Hmm.
I don't remember word for word, but he was like, if you own one gym, um, you're in the business of running a gym. If you own two gyms, you're in the business of running back and forth between gyms. Then if you own five gyms, you're in the business of running gyms. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and I was like, I think it makes sense. I don't really know if I want to own five gyms,
Hmm.
but at that point, like, I guess like, why would I own two and run back and forth if I could just have one big facility and just have the best adult training, best personal training, um, and then have a separate facility for more open to the public and all that. So that's pretty much the goal. Like 5 to 10 year goal, I guess. Which
Nice.
might be quick, but we'll see.
Sometimes these things happen faster than you realize.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a good 6 months. I haven't spent $1 on marketing yet, and I honestly know I could do more marketing. So,
Beautiful.
being almost halfway to max
Yeah.
capacity, I definitely can't complain. Um, and then, just
Yeah.
keep things how it is. Um, the big thing is I've had a very good retention rate, thankfully. And honestly, I think that all really comes down to obviously the proper programming and the proper training so people actually get results. But also just like we talked about the relationship, I think that's a big part of it. Like when people tell me that they're actually excited to come
That's
here
part.
and they like didn't work out before that, it means everything. Definitely.
Really nice thing. Especially being able to see something that people once bastardized
Yeah.
to be now excited to go see.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they came because they think they just had to get in shape, to where now they're actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and then they start pushing themselves and then they're like, "Can I go up and wait?" And I'm like, "There we go." Like I haven't heard you say that before. It's usually the opposite. It's
Like tears of joy. You're like, I can't
yeah,
believe I'm so proud of you.
exactly. Yeah. That's like I have like one specific example. One of my clients, I have a few clients that are in the police academies right now, and a couple are getting ready for them. One of them is in the academy right now, and he wasn't always in the best shape, but he worked out with me for a year. We worked on just getting the strength up.
Mhm.
He had some injuries that we had to deal with, and just so getting the strength up, making sure he's not going to get injured throughout the academy, and obviously getting the cardio up. And he came back. He had a week off from the lifting, and he came back here to do a workout, and just like went through the whole hit workout without stopping. And I was like, "Who is this guy?" I was like, "This is a whole new person," because he was not like that before. And he's like, "Yeah, dude, we've been doing so much hit, so it's cool." He was like doing jumping
Yeah,
jacks on his own. I'm like, "Man, who is this guy?" It's a fun
that's
feeling
amazing.
when you see a real change.
Mhm.
And then
Do you have any clients that are like, sorry, what was that?
oh, you can go ahead. I'm just rambling.
Do you have any clients that have been really memorable for you, aside him? Like some wild, not necessarily wild stories about them, but who they are, what they were trying to achieve?
Yeah, one especially. I mean, here obviously it's only been a few months, but there's been some pretty cool transformations even with
Sure.
that. Um,
Hmm.
this one client came in because she's getting married this year, and she was just walking her dog when we were building out the place, and she saw it and popped in, and she started training a couple weeks later, and she went like
Hmm.
110%. She's texting me about like, should I eat this? Should I not eat this? Should I take creatine? Should I get
Hmm.
aminos? Should I get electrolytes? And just seeing a physical
Yeah.
change like every single week now.
Hmm.
Obviously not everybody is like that, but it's very, very cool to see.
Yeah.
I did have one very memorable client that I have to mention from AMP, and I mean it wasn't like my direct client, but I
Yeah.
trained them to cover a couple times. That was one of the cool things at
Yeah.
AMP too
Sure.
was like nobody really had their own clients. It was like we were a team.
Hmm.
We just People would kind of stick with some person if it was regular, and anybody would cover whenever they needed.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
this lady was 87, started training after having her second hip replacement, I think it was. Pretty sure she had both
Yeah.
hips replaced. And within a year, she was doing push-ups with a weighted vest. She was doing TRX pull-ups. She was deadlifting 60, 70 pounds. And there was snow and ice outside, and she'd drive herself to the session, did not miss a session. Like, I love that more than anything because I still can't get my parents to
Yeah.
go to the gym. And I see something like that, and I'm like, there's literally no excuse, no reason. Like,
Hmm.
everybody has a half an hour at least twice a week. Like, don't tell me you don't.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a half an hour at least once or twice a week. Um,
Hmm.
just look at your screen time. Like, you
Hmm.
can't, if you have an iPhone, you can't tell me you don't have a half an hour because I know your screen time is going to be more than that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. So
It's a
that's
scary
definitely a
thing for
big
a lot of
one.
people.
Yeah.
Dude, one of the craziest clients I've ever had. I still currently train her. I don't train a lot of clients anymore because it's not my full-time gig.
Yeah.
But I have a couple people that are like passion projects for me. I've been
I
training
don't
for
even know how
years.
you still do with all
It's
the
this
things
lady.
you do.
Me either.
Yeah.
The trick is I don't sleep.
Yeah.
It's
Still.
just, I don't get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of the Abe energy drinks. But besides that, man, it's just nonstop. Boom, boom. I'm all over the place all day.
Yeah.
So it's this lady, Jeanette. Jeanette's in her low 70s. She's from Canada. Now, when she first came in, She had like a really bad upper crust syndrome. She could
Okay.
like was always walking around like this. But it was because she was a cyclist. Her body just
Oh,
kind of got
okay.
stuck in that. It was just tight.
Yeah.
So I opened her up to where she has proper posture and stuff now. And the first thing she said to me is like, "Yeah, I want to get ready for a bike race." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." She's like, "Yeah, it's a 500-mile bike race from Staten Island to Niagara Falls." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "You doing what?" So I like to try to calm people down for a minute. I'm like, let's be realistic for a
Yeah.
second, right? But she's like, "No, it's okay. I've done it before." I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, fuck me. Great. So we'll tell me about it." So sure enough, our first year she did it, and
They
she
stop
got, I think it
or
was like
just literally 500
fourth or
straight.
fifth place.
Assuming they stop here and there.
No, it's like a 5-day thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. I was
5-day
gonna
thing. So
say
it's 5 days straight of like 100 miles for 4 days and 80 miles one of the days, whatever it is.
it's crazy.
So she got a great time, but I can't imagine like Staten Island to Niagara Falls.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's crazy. The second year we were getting her ready for it again, and she ended up slipping on ice and broke a collarbone.
Damn. During the race
Yeah,
or
so
prior?
she was out of commission prior
Oh,
to
wow.
in the preparation. So the race was like that March. So that race was a no-go, of course. We were rehabilitating her, and it was an injury that for somebody in their 70s, usually you're out for the count, you're done. But she's still training, lifting heavy, getting stronger, holding 60 pounds here for squats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Better than ever. And it's a very true thing when it comes to clients, training, anybody, is that you're only as old as you allow yourself to be.
Yeah. Very, very
Age
true.
is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weight training is the fountain of youth, man.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're your client in your 80s, my girl in her 70s, whatever it is. When you take care of yourself,
It's different.
nothing stops you.
Yeah. It's like
Absolutely.
I hear older people, well, not older, like 50s, 60s, whatever it is. My back is hurting, my
Sure.
knees are
Yeah.
hurting, and it's like you haven't, especially like a lot of pretty much everybody in my family, nobody works out, nobody really takes care of themselves, or even a lot of people are just
Yeah.
family and family friends, and I'm like, you don't take care of yourself, you don't do anything, like that's what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't, but that's what's gonna happen.
What do you
It's,
expect?
yeah, and like we know now, I understand 30 years ago or whatever, but like we know way too much now to be
Yeah.
dealing with that.
Or even so, what do you have to lose?
That
right?
Yeah, that too.
If you're feeling
That
like
too.
shit every single day and somebody says, "Why don't you try exercising?" What do you have to lose?
Yeah,
First of
yeah.
all, what are you doing all day? If your back hurts because you've been sitting down all day, what are you really doing that you're so busy you can't try to exercise a little
Yeah.
bit, right? I don't care if it's sitting up and down on the couch a million times or doing baby crunches when there's commercials.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, just trying to move your body at least a little bit.
Yeah, what negativity are you going to get from that, from just trying to work out for a little bit? Yeah, you
Exactly.
can go on
Some
YouTube,
minor discomfort.
chat GPT workouts for older with this injury, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and you could find something. It's too easy nowadays to avoid it.
It's too easy to have excuses now.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good video that went around for a long time, and I come across it once in a while, where it's like a stacked camera. So it's like a video here and a video right here.
Okay.
And this one, the top one, is a video of, let's say, somebody in their 80s that doesn't exercise, doesn't take care of themselves. And they're in a hospital bed, they're barely moving, they're on like a ventilator, and they're not doing anything. They're on the brink of death. They take a fall, and they're just laying in bed bound forever. Then the bottom one is somebody the exact same age, going around at parties, hanging out with the friends and family, walking the dog,
Yeah.
going for like a light jog, fully taking care of themselves. And it just goes to show, because that's as true as, it's a tale as old as time, man.
Yeah.
When you take care of yourself and you move the body around, there is nothing that's ever going to stop you from continuing to improve time and time again.
That's like we had a wrestling coach, I think John Hamilton was his name.
Okay.
Great guy, and this is when I was in middle school or high school. He was like almost 60 maybe, and I remember he's talking to us one time, and he goes and does a handstand and walks across the room, and he's like,
How old was he?
I don't remember exactly, but he was at least like 55. I think he was like 57.
That's great.
And he's
That's
like,
great.
there's absolutely no reason why any of you guys shouldn't be fit. Like, I'm almost 60 years old. Like, there's no reason. He's
love
like, you're
that.
at home, you could do push-ups every
love
time the
that.
commercials come on. And
Mhm.
And that was what I did for a little while too. I did a ton of push-ups in high school. Like a
Yeah.
ton. But
I remember when I was younger, I was a fat little fucker.
yeah,
And my uncle would tell me, he was like getting the working out at the time. I must have been, I don't know. It was before I started going to the gym. So maybe 12, something like that. He'd always tell me he would give me $1 for a push-up.
oh
I would
yeah,
do. And I let him know what I did. And I never did one, nor did I ever tell him how many I did. Maybe I did 1 or 2 over the course of like a year. You know what I mean? I was never exercising. I was just playing Halo, drinking Mountain Dew, and eating pizza rolls, and having a grand old time.
sounds
but
like my Friday night.
sounds like a great Friday night still. But yeah, it's funny when different people have different ways to try to motivate you.
Yeah,
Because what works with some clients may not work for another.
oh yeah,
Just like you might have a million different ways to explain how to use proper form or how not to use your bicep and use your tricep and keep your elbow in one spot, whatever it happens to be. But then you say it this one certain way and it clicks. It just fucking snaps in place for this client. Like, oh, I get it now.
that's one of the most fun parts about this job too. Is like I'm not coming in and doing the same thing every day. Even if the client is on the
Far
same
from it.
program, it's never every single. That's definitely the biggest thing I learned about just fitness in general. You know, whether it's bodybuilding or lifestyle or just trying to get healthy. Every single individual is completely different. Every single person is different.
Oh my God.
Different cues. Tell them different things. Show them different things. Every single person is different. Um,
Yeah.
And so that's partly why like the degrees are like obviously you need to know some things. You need to have a background, know some general things, but at the same time, it's like you're almost always figuring things out. You know, someone might come in and you might try a cue like so that you've never said it before, and then it clicks, and it's like, oh, that's a new one, a new tool in the toolbox. That's one of the most fun things about it. Always seeing something different, different reactions you get from people that like are just started to work out and all that stuff too. And just even like, like I'm feeling this, you know, people doing a pull down and the straight arm pull down, and they say they feel their bicep, and I'm like, okay, you know, let's talk about that. Let's dive into that because there's really no reason anatomically why you should feel your bicep, but just always something different. But
see, I've always been a bit of a smartass for it with that stuff. Like I feel my tricep. They're doing a pull down. I'm like, yeah, where's your tricep?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
This one.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's a good one.
You know, it's funny. A client of mine, I'm known to have total bluntness.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because if I sugarcoat it, they're going to fucking eat that.
Yeah, you're
too,
not doing them a favor.
No. So I'm always, whenever they tell me like a problem or a bullshit, I'm like, hold on, let me get the world's smallest violin because I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care about your excuses.
I should get one of those.
One of my clients bought me.
Oh,
One of my clients bought me a keychain of the world's smallest violin. I'm like, that is the funniest thing I've ever gotten.
Yeah, that's good. That's funny. Yeah, that's good.
And it's not even a novelty. Like, I'm going to keep it on me.
Yeah.
Just to emphasize how little I care about your nonsense excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't eat a meal. Why? Because there was somebody in your kitchen? Come on.
Yeah. And I have clients that come in with injuries too. Like literally just yesterday, somebody was like, "Oh, I got blisters on my foot from the ice. Like, can I not wear shoes?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." Or people are like, "The knee's hurting. Okay, we could do upper body. We could do hamstrings. We could do a ton of different things. Like, no excuse. No excuse."
Yeah, and those are always the best days to come in because they're working with a professional like you to be able to work around those injuries instead of losing all this time.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, motion is lotion. It really is. That's another thing that I've learned so much. You know, if your back hurts, come in. Let's see what hurts, what doesn't hurt. You know, let's try some different things to work it out. Like, motion is lotion. I will always stand by that. So that's another big one. And to me, it's fun.
It's,
you know, it's
as true as can be.
It's an ongoing science experiment. Never-ending science experiment. Just like with our bodies, you know, me trying to grow, you trying to grow, me trying to catch up to you. It's never gonna happen. But,
we have a little bit of a weight gap, but never say never.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. But depends what you want to consider a little.
I know you're looking. I don't know, a little with our weight is not a lot to some other people.
Yeah,
We can put it nicely like that.
that's true.
What but we could be on the same bodybuilding stage this year.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
Different
cool.
weight classes, but because I know you're looking toward the end of the year, right?
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
Um, thought about it for a very long time, and I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
ready sooner. Um, and I mean, like
Sure.
in reality, maybe I could be ready, but not to the standard that I want. Um,
Right.
you're gonna obviously.
So what's driving you to what was that?
Oh, you can go ahead.
It just cut out a little bit there.
Yeah, so it said reconnecting.
So what's driving you really to pursue the bodybuilding? Like, did you get
Um,
bit by the Bev bug, or
it
why?
might have been part of that.
What makes you say I want to hop on that bodybuilding stage? Hmm.
So that I guess the switch, the real turning point probably was when I went to Long Island Championships. Um, that was the first, even though I've watched so many shows online and I follow every single account,
Yeah.
that was the first show I actually went to in person and was like, I just had the best
Mhm.
time. I got there at like 12, left at like 8:30, and I had no problem sitting down there and listening to every single thing they said. I was like, this is sick. Um, I started to see some of the guys that stepped on stage and was like, okay, maybe I actually can do this. Obviously, like, I got a lot to go, but in terms of just being in the smaller weight class, I was like, all right, maybe I actually can do this. It's something I thought about since high school.
Well, you have a good build on you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, something I thought about since high school, and always like, I always knew I wanted to do it, and it's just like, is it ever really gonna, am I ever really gonna go anywhere with it? All this stuff, and then now, just since things have changed with the stress, my mood, getting over the depression, my stomach, the new career, I'm just like, now I just don't have doubts anymore. And I mean, even at the end of the day, it's like,
Yeah.
I just want to do it, even if I just do it once, and who knows what'll happen. But
Yeah.
even though I'm only 26, the older I get, I'm starting to be like, all right, if God forbid I was to go tomorrow, I would regret not doing it. So, or at least I would have
Yeah.
say I wish I could have done it. So, we'll see. Hopefully in November.
You
Um,
know, you have a lot of really good things going for you this year, and I think doing a competition is a really nice way to well round it off.
that's a good point too.
Just
That's a good point.
entrepreneurially, spiritually, emotionally,
Yeah,
physically, you've done so much this year. To just also taper with conquering this goal of yours, to hop on stage and do something not just well against the norm, but more importantly, doing something where everybody else around you would falter
yeah,
unless you're in the industry. Because trying to stay on that bodybuilding diet, do the fasted cardio 7 days a week,
yeah,
it's something people don't understand the difficulty of. And not even the physicality, just being able to continue to do it like Groundhog Day, no matter what,
yeah,
and no matter how you feel.
yeah, exactly. And then, not to undermine prep. I know it's not easy, but I do think that's where I have the
Sure.
advantage. And like, obviously, I'm been trying to bulk up for all this time, and the weight has been going up, but I'm still single digit body fat right
Hmm.
now. And then, like I said, wrestling in high school,
Yeah.
I've cut the weight before. I know it's different. I have to actually be able to feel muscle. Um,
Yeah.
but like,
It's,
no, I know it's different because I can't just not eat. I have to actually try to stay full and all that stuff. But in terms of like not having carbs and having to train, I'm not really worried about that at all. I've done that. I've done that before. Um, I feel super stuffed all the time from eating so much. So I'm like, I'll be happy when people tell me I have to eat less for a couple months. And then I don't like when people say they're suffering in prep. Even though like I don't like to talk about it too much because I haven't done a bodybuilding prep, but I don't like when
sure.
people say that they're suffering. And it's like you're still eating 5, 6 times a day. You can't really say you're suffering. I understand it's not, you're not having any carbs and you're working out and you're doing the cardio and you're gonna feel brain fog, you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna feel your sleep might go to shit, you might be hungry all the time, but you signed up for it. No one's
Yeah.
Now you probably have more you might know more about it than me. I don't Have you done a show before? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Or is this your Refer.
Yeah, I've done a couple,
Okay,
but
so yeah,
I
so you
haven't
could
stepped on
probably
stage
speak
since
more about it.
2019. Suffering is something when it comes to a bodybuilding prep that is very real,
Yeah,
but you won't understand until you're in it because you're fighting your body's evolutionarily and natural ability to want to look for food
yeah,
and consume when it's right in front of you and it needs it, but you're telling it, hey, listen, we're not doing this right now. So you're fighting your body's instinct 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while you know what it feels like to train without carbs.
yeah,
You don't know what it feels like to train without carbs and really train,
yeah. Okay,
or after a fasted cardio session
yeah,
and still go through your day. Now, I agree, when you're doing a prep, you shouldn't complain about it because you chose to sign up for this. Nobody's making you do it, but that doesn't take away the lack of suffering.
that's fair.
It's like
Yeah, okay.
I suffered to build my businesses up and do what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I suffered. Nobody made me do it, but that suck makes it all worthwhile.
yeah, yeah. And I
Now, some
mean,
people say suffer because they just want to complain.
yeah,
If
that's
you're
true
complaining,
too.
that's another story. What are you doing? If you don't like this, don't do it. Or
Exactly.
don't do it for the Instagram pictures. Or don't do it for the money because you're in the wrong industry to do that.
Yeah,
But the suffer is a very, very real thing that you won't experience until you're really in the nitty-gritty of it.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
truthfully, if you don't feel the suffering, then you're not conditioned enough.
okay, that's fair. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I might be
but
completely wrong.
you haven't been there yet.
Yeah. I just think like obviously we have very different bodies, and
Sure.
I just know like personally I don't have a problem. Like, I can if I have a busy weekend and just don't think about it, I'll go a whole day without eating. Which I know it's not a good thing, but I just feel
Yeah.
like it'll be easier for me to not have to be stuffing my face 6 times a day,
Well, you're
if that
definitely right.
makes sense.
The,
Um,
the more muscle you have, the harder it is, for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah,
Because it's starving for calories all
Yeah.
day. But it's still no walk in the park.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't want to say that.
Yeah. No, of course.
But like for me, I just feel like growing is obviously the harder part. Um,
It is. Growing is the hardest thing, man.
Yeah.
Because it takes time. It takes a lot of time, a lot of consistency. If you're not eating enough food, it just doesn't happen.
yeah.
You know?
But I am excited to see.
It's a big...
See, because
I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
going to be a good time.
I'm excited. I've been practicing posing for like 2 years. I
And
do
you
it
never stop.
I do it
see your videos all the time.
almost every day. Mostly just because I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it, and then it's also like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the biggest guy on stage, obviously, but I could be the best poser. I could try to be the most conditioned. I could have the best stage presence.
That's the beauty. I don't want to cut you off.
No,
but
you're
that's the
good.
beauty of the weight classes.
Yeah,
Is you might damn well be the biggest guy on your stage.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, hopefully that's the plan.
If you win your class and you go into the overall,
Yeah,
that's another story
Yeah.
because you're going to be against people that are blatantly heavier.
yeah,
But in terms of who you're going up against, there's no reason you won't be the biggest guy on that stage.
yeah. I mean, that's the plan.
You have a great build on you. You lean,
Yeah.
and you're in that weight cap parameters. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
That's why I'm pushing it to November also, because right now I'm like right there.
Yeah.
The
bulk's going well.
So yeah, it's been going well, thankfully. Definitely could be doing
I'd
some
love to see you
things
do a show
better.
in August.
Hmm?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said I'd love to see you do a show in August.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But just because I'm doing a show in August, it would just be
Where?
be
You
fun.
know where? If you want to say, you don't have to say if you don't want to say it.
I'm not
but-
sure yet. It'll be local.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
No, I'm not sure yet of the exact show.
Okay, because I didn't. I didn't know they had anything local in August. I thought November was the only thing.
Oh, no, there's a show. I'm not saying Long Island. I'm saying like,
Okay,
Jersey.
okay. Because I know
but
Bev's Atlantic States is in June, in Jersey and Teaneck.
Yeah.
And I thought the next thing was just in November, but August.
no, there's usually a show of some kind every other week or so. Like,
Okay.
there's a lot.
So
of them,
August might be doable. honestly.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
August in Jersey or maybe PA. I'm not sure
Okay.
yet. But there's a really good bodybuilding show. Was I got a bloody nose at the light? But there's a really good bodybuilding show in PA that I've been to a couple times where they just do a phenomenal job.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of the first times I've seen a show really like play the national anthem and the promoters are on the stage throwing T-shirts.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a really cool experience. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we'll see. August actually might be doable, but really just seeing how much I can grow
man.
in the next 3-4 months. Right now, I pretty much
Yeah. Well, that's
just
priority.
passed. I just passed the weight cap this last week, so just try to keep pushing as much as I can.
What's the weight cap?
143.5, I believe, is the lightest. Is bantamweight is the lightest, and I just got back to 144 last week. So
That's not the lightest weight class.
That's the lightest weight
under
class.
that, right?
Pretty sure that's the lightest weight class.
So
Um,
so you'll be in that weight class, no problem, when you compete.
yeah, I mean,
100%. You'll be
yeah,
at the peak of that weight class.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see if I can get to like 150 or something, and depending on what it is, and then cut back down. I've never weighed that much before, so just got to keep pushing. And I definitely could do a few things better.
Mhm.
But for what I've been doing, it's been going well. It's crazy. I think so much of it was the stress, because I don't know if you know, but I weighed heavier than this like about 2 years ago, probably when I was at Crunch. I was heavier at one point and couldn't sustain it. It was also, not to talk bad about coaches, but did not have the best plan. And I was trying, but that was making me think that I was going to quit bodybuilding. And then just tanked all the way back down, back and forth. And then last summer hit an all-time low. And that was when I was like, all right, let me focus on my gut, do what I know, try to turn things around the right way. And now I'm up like 10 pounds since August, but I'm eating way less food than I am than I was when I weighed this much last time.
Now, is it a lot cleaner now, too, and last time you were eating a bunch of junk?
I was eating clean last time.
Just trying to put weight on?
It was just way too much food. I was throwing up during all my leg workouts.
But your
spending.
IBS was still there. All the ulcers
Yeah,
were
IBS
still
was
there.
still there. All that stuff was still there.
Yeah, so
they're just like, take digestive
a recipe for
enzymes.
disaster.
It's like, it doesn't do anything. I've never really, I know they help, but like, it's not really, that's not a cure when you say you have gut issues, digestive enzymes.
There's a point where it just doesn't help anymore.
Yeah. And just shoveling down too much food, acid reflux every single night, which that happens sometimes still.
Yeah.
But throwing up during all my leg workouts, and it's just, it was the first bodybuilding plan I ever got when I first signed up with somebody, and it was a food plan, so he didn't write the calories, but I kind of like did the math a little bit, and it was like almost 6,000 calories. And,
oh my God!
And I'm weighing 130 something pounds, and I'm
eating 6,000 calories.
I don't know. And I was like, and it's just like old school guy, just like, you just gotta do it. It's like, don't bitch, just eat. I'm like, bro, I'm trying. Like, spending 2-3 hours a day eating.
Yeah.
Hundreds of grams of protein. And so it just wasn't sustainable. I got up to like 147, and then I miss one meal and just tank all the way down. Get sick, lose 10 pounds, like all the time. 3 Rice Krispies before every workout, and then 100 grams of carbs intro workout. Just a lot. It's like, I need to grow.
It's very similar to what I'm doing. It's very similar to what I'm doing, except the Rice Krispies.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine doing it at that body weight.
Yeah, and you weigh 100 pounds more. Way. I'm like, dude, my stomach is this big. Like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh my, that's madness.
Yeah. So yeah, now I'm eating a good amount, but it's not really like uncomfortable yet, and the weight's been going up. So I'm kind of trying to just keep that how it is, and then obviously if I hit a plateau, I'm gonna have to push the food a little bit more. But the appetite's been getting better. Been having more variety of foods. That's not your favorite, but I've been eating some vegetables. But I don't really eat too much vegetables. But mostly fruits.
You rabbit.
I don't have
fruits are great.
Yeah, I don't have too much vegetables. Just like I'll have a salad with my last meal sometimes. My mom made some.
Okay, I'm not that mad.
But
I'm a little upset.
Yeah, some lettuce, like I would have on a cheeseburger. Some lettuce, some tomato.
That I'll allow that.
I don't really have too much greens.
It was only for flavor.
I don't think they sit well with me still.
Yeah.
But fruit, I'll have.
They don't. When you're eating clean, man, vegetables don't sit well with anybody.
Yeah. I hear a lot of mixed things about it, but I don't think they sit well with me. I don't think so.
No. Good. Don't eat them.
So yeah, but fruits I've been starting to have more of just to change up the carbs too. A
Yeah.
lot of white rice. Um, that's it.
Mhm.
I mostly eat clean. It's crazy. I really don't even crave like junk food anymore. And like I could
Well, you know what? That's
go ahead.
that's the funniest thing
Yeah,
is when you're bulking and you can have all that junk food and stuff, you don't want it.
yeah,
You're eating so much food all day long. The last thing you want is more food.
yeah, and especially me. And I mean, like I can,
Mhm.
I can body a couple burgers like for a smaller guy.
Yeah.
It just goes down so much easier than
Yeah.
chicken and rice or beef and rice. I could body a couple burgers.
Oh
I go
yeah.
to Checkers and
Oh,
get
of
two double
course.
cheeseburgers, and it's done in like 5 minutes. But I just
I
I
wish.
don't feel good after. And
Hmm.
I've gone
Yeah.
through times where I did that consistently, where like a couple times a week
Hmm.
I would just get fast food just to get the calories in, and I don't look the same.
Hmm.
I look different. And
No,
I've had
not at
people
all.
with like legit degrees, like we were saying earlier, and real backgrounds telling me like, oh, just calories are calories, just get them down. And I'm like, maybe for you, but I've seen it myself. It's not the same. Um, I look
And that's why I don't
flatter. I
have a lot
look
of respect for
softer.
people that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's the reason I don't have a lot of respect for people that say, "Oh, I have a degree. I know what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
Because it's what you were taught in school. It doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
A calorie is not just a calorie. A gram of carbs from rice is not the same thing as sugar.
It's not. Yeah.
They're two very different
And
things.
especially when you're getting fast food.
Pro 4 calories from protein isn't the same as 4 calories from a carbohydrate.
Yeah.
They're going to do completely different things in your body. These people say, "Oh, calorie is a calorie. You can just eat all these carbs every day and be fine." Guess what? You're going to start breaking down muscle tissue.
Yeah.
And when you catabolize all that muscle, where do you go from there?
Yeah. Yeah. I learned that the hard way. I mean,
It's a
not really
shame.
the hard way, but I was definitely
Yeah.
looking different. And then I started eating clean again. And I'm like, man, I
Hmm.
weigh the same, but I look different, like more full,
Yeah.
um, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But
So,
yeah.
John, we're about wrapping up here. Do you have any final notes? Give us your address of the facility, social media,
It's
anything else you want to talk about?
2090 Wantagh Avenue in Wantagh. Um, I love working out with people. No, I do love working out on my own sometimes too. But generally, as long as they're actually serious, I love working out with people. I love seeing how people go about their workouts and push themselves and push others. So if anybody ever wants to join, because obviously it's a private training, but if anybody ever wants to see the place, join me to lift, all are welcome. Social media is at BFF underscore personal training. That's the gym's page. And then my page is John M Training at John M Training. I did actually just start up a YouTube. I have yet to post some long form content, but I started posting a couple shorts and I'm
Mhm.
getting on that this week. That's just my name, John Masoud. Um,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say. I feel like I've been rambling for hours already. But thank you for having me. Definitely had to do this again. Definitely had to do this.
Dude, absolutely. You're always welcome back on the show. It was great having you, and proud to have a friend like mine of you just being one of our first guests.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
thank you. Yeah, this was awesome.
No problem, man.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So thanks for tuning into one of the first episodes of Burn the Ships. Until next time, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
All right, take care.